let's go over to the news Xbox site that said welcoming the talented teams and beloved game franchises of Bethesda to Xbox. This is on Monday morning, just like out of nowhere. Phil Spencer dropped some info, although it seemed that people were being alerted to this ahead of time. There was some rumbling super early in the morning that something was about to happen. And then Phil Spencer drops the news that Microsoft had acquired ZeniMax, which of course parent company to Bethesda. That also means ZeniMax Online, which is like the Elder Scrolls Online, Dishonored, Wolfenstein, the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Starfield, The Evil Within, Prey, and an obscene amount of studios all in one purchase for the lump sum of $7.5 billion. Apparently it's all cash. There's no stock involved from what I'm seeing.
Chump change.
But now, I mean, Microsoft owns Doom now. They own Elder Scrolls. They own Starfield. Starfield's not out yet, but like it's clearly shaping up to be a massive game. Tango Gameworks. So they did get their Japanese studio. They made a lot of acquisitions all in one purchase. But it seemed to hit the internet pretty hard. Everyone started freaking out there. What did you guys think of this purchase right here? Because there's a lot to go over with it.
Can I go real quick before Rand, because I know Rand has some stuff to say, but I gotta say something on this. There is a lot of hypocritical nonsense that I'm seeing.
What happened? What happened?
Call him out. I know who you are talking about.
I'm not calling out anybody.
Call him out.
There's a lot of hypocritical nonsense. Just a few days before, a week before, Final Fantasy 16, even despite all the other games being on so many platforms, gets on PlayStation. Everyone, oh yeah, okay, PlayStation. Now Microsoft kicks the hell out of everybody. Says, okay, you want to do that? And they somebody punches you, they freaking knock you out. Then you get mad and say that's not fair for the industry. I'm kind of tired of that because we've been seeing this before. And I just don't like the hypocritical, like it's okay for Sony to get Final Fantasy because they've always been with it. It's okay for them to purchase exclusives when 15 and with many other games being on all these different platforms. But when Microsoft says, okay, well, we're going to go a step further, all of a sudden this is a problem. It's bad for the industry and all. It's like, nah, fam. Like, let's be fair about it. So I just wanted to point that out. Outside of that, I mean, like, it's a cool acquisition for Microsoft, obviously, but at the same time, like, I don't want to hear any hypocritical stuff anymore, man. Because that was a little annoying because they're praising Final Fantasy. Oh, but this is a problem. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because they made Bethesda games a lot cheaper for people, like all of a sudden, because they're going in the Game Pass. And look, we know what happens with some of these Fallout games and Elder Scrolls games when they come out and they're super glitchy. Like I can just download it on Game Pass and just see how bad the jankiness of it is now. So that's kind of cool. But
it's
Rand,
almost like, oh sorry.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead. Rand is gearing up here. I know he is.
I feel like Rand is going to talk for a very long time, so maybe we should all go and then the expert.
We're gonna jump to different parts of this because we have to go over the exclusivity things that could take place here. How they're gonna go about strategy with Game Pass and money. There's a lot of things here. So
honestly, I love things like this because it just proves the one thing that I always say: the video game industry is a business. And companies make business decisions, and this is a business decision. Whether you like the decision or not, that's a moot point. It's a business decision, and it's a smart business decision for Microsoft to do. Because let's be real, with the Xbox Series X, I feel like they lost a little bit of, good standing with people with things like, the Halo Infinite situation and, making the games work across all platforms. So, Sony was looking better in that limelight, but then Sony started looking just so scummy with their whole thing. Like, oh yeah, by the way, Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4, check it out. And then the whole stupid ass thing where it's like, oh, you want Spider-Man remastered on your PlayStation 5? Well, there's like 7 different ways to get it, but you got to do this. And it's like, holy shit, it's just so complicated. And then Microsoft just comes along and simplifies. Says, hey, we bought this big ass studio with all these IPs. So I thought it was a great thing. What it breeds competition. Competition makes companies stronger, and it makes them have to reevaluate things. When you're at the top too long, you become stagnant, and you have to pivot. You have to have someone nipping on your heels to keep your momentum going, I feel. So great decision. I loved it.
Okay. What'd you think, Rand?
I mean, it was a completely shocking announcement. I had heard the night before something was going to be announced on Monday, but I had no clue what. And the guy who told me didn't know either. So I was sitting there just waiting, and I was thought to myself, oh, what could it be? I thought maybe Microsoft might lift a free-to-play paywall, for Xbox Live Gold, so you can play Fortnite and stuff for free. I think that'd be a good announcement for them. Like, they need to do that at some point.
I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I think it would probably. I think it's time to Halo Infinite, and since it was delayed, they'll probably wait till next year. But no, then the news came across like they bought ZeniMax. Wait, they own Doom and Elder Scrolls, like. People have been saying for a long time, and I'm sure everybody on this panel would agree, that the weakest link about Microsoft and Xbox is undoubtedly their first party. Mm-hmm. They just don't have the same quality of games as PlayStation or Nintendo. And Microsoft, Phil Spencer and Microsoft, they've been trying to fix it. They bought a whole bunch of studios 2 years ago. They went from 7 to 15, and even still, that wasn't necessarily enough to get like the critical mass that they want for being the Netflix of gaming. Like, they talked about having a AAA release like every quarter, but now they have 23 studios and they own some of the biggest IPs in all of gaming. So it's like, man, their first party's really set here. Like, when in a couple years, when Avowed and Fable all start coming out in Forza Motorsport, then you add the Bethesda titles on top of it, it's going to just be a stream of games constantly coming to the Xbox platform, PC, Game Pass, and xCloud. And like, I don't think anybody can say anymore that Microsoft isn't all in on gaming, because there was that kind of sentiment, like, they're not really in, But when you're dropping $7.5 billion, it basically proves that no, like, Microsoft is completely in. Phil, Satya Nadella, he's got Phil Spencer's back. Phil had a plan, and everything's kind of coming into focus of what they want to do. And did this energize people, man? Like, dropping the announcement the day before pre-orders, stroke of genius.
Well,
right?
You just mentioned something there, and I got to go back to Sean. I got to go back to Sean on this one. Sean,
yes,
you just said you really liked the acquisition, you liked the move. That was Phil Spencer's move, Sean.
I mean, but see, we haven't. I like the move, but no, stop it. We have not talked about the fact that this isn't necessarily new for Microsoft to acquire studios. And I mean, because let's be realistic, the last time an acquisition this big occurred, at least in my mind, at least that comes to mind for me, it would be Microsoft purchasing Rare, and of course they did fuck all with Rare. So
I would say Microsoft purchasing Minecraft and Mojang. That was 2.5 billion.
Yeah, I mean more industry-wide impact though, because Minecraft is its own entity. It was already out on everything. It's not like Minecraft 2 is going to come out anytime soon. Whereas with Rare, you have this massive company with this massive IPs that people loved, especially at the time of the acquisition, and then they did fuck all with them. But that's sort of a different subject for a different day.
The caveat being with Rare is that it was only a big deal because they were a Nintendo exclusive company. Had they been a multi-platform company who was just kind of churning out okay games here and there, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It was that it went from Nintendo to Microsoft's control. But that's the only reason that was a big deal.
No, it was a big deal because they made arguably the best games on the N64.
They made two.
Yeah.
Well, they made Banjo, and they made Banjo Conquer, and they made Perfect Dark. Those were like their biggest games.
Also made Jet Set Gemini.
But that was lower than.
Yeah, Force Gemini's good.
Good game though. Yeah,
it was good. It was good, but like in terms of like what got Rare to be like everyone saying, oh my god, it was Banjo, it was Conquer, and it was Perfect Dark. Those were like the game, and obviously GoldenEye.
I really don't think you could compare the two, to be honest. Different Microsoft, different Xbox, different styles of management. I mean, like all the different studios now basically say they're completely hands off. Like Matt Booty will just ask, like, "Hey, what do you guys need? Okay, make what you want." Whereas before, Microsoft was very hands on, and I think to the detriment of some of those companies. So, I mean, yeah, it sucks. It sucks that Rare went through that, but I mean, they seem to be doing pretty good now.
Yeah, look at Sea of Thieves. I understand not everyone likes Sea of Thieves, but it isn't what you think.
Wait, I want to go back to something here. What is this disrespect for Rare on the N64. Killer Instinct Gold, Blast Cores, GoldenEye 007, Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Donkey Kong 64, the Mickey Racing game, Mickey Speedway. That was a good-ass kart game. That's a good-ass kart game. Play it. It still holds up well today. Perfect Dark, Banjo-Tooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day. We need to stop that.
That would have been done in like 5 years or so, right? All of those games would have been done in like 5 years.
The thing with Rare's downfall began under Nintendo. Star Fox Adventures, Cameo. It wasn't like they all of a sudden came under Microsoft.
It was a great game. Star Fox Adventures was a great game. It's not a great Star Fox game.
And who's hugely positive light?
Whose fault?
It's a mediocre Zelda game.
Whose fault is it that it became a Star Fox game? Is it Rare's fault? No, Nintendo. It was Nintendo's fault.
It's Dinosaur Planet.
So you really out here blaming? You really out here? Are you blaming Nintendo for Rare being booty with Microsoft? Is that what's?
Rare was already in the transition of becoming that mediocre company.
Oh man,
they were making Cameo. Cameo wasn't good. They were making Grabbed by the Ghoulies. These were GameCube games. Microsoft didn't destroy Rare. Rare was already imploding.
So okay, so they're doing Everwild right now, right? So if Everwild's good and Sea of Thieves has taken over Twitch, would you say that they're back then, Sean?
The hell no. But no.
If Everwild,
hell no, not compared to what Sean just.
Rare's never going to be the old. Rare's never going to be the old Rare.
I mean, exactly. Kind of like
the thing about Rare is it's really a name right now. Obviously, the people that were there making the Super Nintendo, making the N64 games aren't there anymore, and that's fine. But I don't necessarily hate Rare anymore. I just wish that IPs that they did and worked on would come back, because I think they're really good IPs that you could do a lot of different things with, but it seems like Microsoft and Rare just has them working on sort of different things. And maybe that's by design. Maybe that's what Rare wants to do. And if it is, I respect that, but I could still miss the IPs and whatnot.
So you want the IPs to come back? That's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could do a lot with them, especially in this renaissance of 3D platformers where, you know, everyone seems to love 3D platformers again. So why not try something, you know?
Like Banjo?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we've been saying that for a while. So it's probably not. I don't know when it's happening again, but I thought Nintendo set them up really well with that Smash reveal, and it just never happened. So
who's to say they're not working on it right now? It's just not ready.
You say it all the time, Nate. You say it all the time.
Games take years to make. And
hey, I just heard
people were disrespecting Rare under Microsoft. Rare made Viva Pinata, and I'll be damned if people hate on Viva Pinata.
Viva Pinata is pretty good.
But I thought they were in it. How that game came out in what, 2006? That's past. I thought their demise into mediocrity happened under Nintendo tutelage. So how could they make such a great game after that?
Explore beyond Nintendo's confines of forcing them to make crappy games like Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
They rebounded, Sean. They rebounded and right in the shit.
They're in their own.
And then tanked right afterwards. It was a roller coaster.
They went through a bad time. They went through like the Disney era where they made a lot of shit. Then they hit their 90s stride of goodness again.
Sean, you said
now they're lost.
What shit?
Sean, you said you really like the ex developers, or you like the developers at Rare, right? They're working back during like the mid to late 90s.
I think they had a good thing going. Yes.
Did you like Ukulele?
I thought it was decent for what it was.
This is a bunch of ex-Rare developers that you liked.
I know.
Okay.
I know who made the game.
Are we sure it's maybe they were just losing it there? Maybe they just had that golden age of like 5 years where they just had good game after good game on the 64, and then like the PS2
they had good games on other systems.
Are we talking about Bethesda, guys?
Yeah, we're talking about Bethesda, Microsoft. Yeah, we're talking Bethesda, Microsoft.
That conversation was OD though. I like it though.
So all right. So they buy Bethesda ZeniMax $7.5 billion. Jordan, what was your reaction to this?
I thought it was probably one of the smartest business deals I've seen in a long time, and I think it's something Xbox desperately needed to really push them ahead right now. I think they took a big blow when Halo, with the whole incident there and that being kind of pushed back. So doing something like this, even though it's no immediate effects, like, oh, there's a new Bethesda game day one, it's a good enough reason to say, okay, all the whatever you're excited for from Bethesda, whatever future games aside from any deals that they're letting still happen, they're going to be on Xbox and on Games Pass. So that and day before the pre-orders, besides that being a mess, that is it's a good selling point for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely drove some pre-orders there the next day. But 7.5 billion, they got to make that money up tomorrow, right? So what happens with these games? Are these games going to be exclusive now going forward? We talking Starfield, talking Elder Scrolls 6, we talking next Doom?
Too soon to say.
You got to make a decision right now. It's not too soon
to say. They are all going to be exclusive to Xbox. It is not too soon to say, my friend.
I agree with Rand. I think in the immediate future, you're going to see the multi-plat stuff. Obviously, games like Deathloop are PlayStation 5 console exclusives or whatever right now. All the deals that are already made are going to go on and be made. I think in 2-3 years, you're going to start seeing Xbox exclusivity with these games.
I think you're right. I think Starfield's going to be an Xbox and PC Game Pass xCloud only game. I don't think it's going to be on the PS5.
Yo, here's the thing though.
They didn't make any deals, did they? So
no.
Why would people are saying, oh, everything's going to be the same. Why would Microsoft lose out on the money? It's like, it's not about that. If the Xbox Series X can take off in sales, why are you going to sit there and put Starfield on the PS5? Like in 3 years from now or whenever it starts, like, why would you, or even if you're talking about it right now, like, why would you sit there and spend those resources on that? Just put it into your own system. Like, I don't understand why everyone's saying, nope, they have to because of money. It's like, Microsoft has so much money. They're not worried about that. They need to make sure that this system sells. You know what I'm saying? Like, this system has legit exclusives. Everyone always said, like Ram was talking about, Microsoft has no exclusives, right? They don't have good enough games. Don't cry now. Now they got stuff. Don't talk about, oh, it needs to be multi-platform. No, it's their studios now. So they do what the hell they want to. So no, it needs, in my opinion, I think it would be a bad idea from their business perspective to sit there and say, we're going to make it on PlayStation. Why is God of War coming to Xbox? No, man. Like,
yeah, I think that what people forget is that if they take, let's say, Starfield and they put it on PlayStation, then they're paying Sony 30% of that cut on the digital store. If it's retail, they get even less than that. So like, it's because you get everything you have to go through for production of the discs and put it in a case and ship it, and then the retailer gets $10 on top of that, and any tax or anything involved. It's, for them, probably a better idea just to keep it in Game Pass, keep it on the Xbox, and just roll from there.
Even if they did put it on other consoles and made it like a publishing thing, I would first keep it on their console for a limited time. Like, okay, it's only on Game Pass for a year, and then we'll put it on PlayStation or PC. Well, it'd be on PC anyway, but like, however they would disperse it out physically and put it on the PlayStation. I think the funny situation here is Obsidian in this whole discussion, because they've spent their whole studio career right now with Microsoft. I mean, after finishing up the Outer Worlds, working on Avowed, which is basically their Elder Scrolls like game as we're expecting, and now that they're back, it's like, we spent our whole time doing this, and then you go and buy the people making the actual games we're trying to make anyway. But
that's actually part of the Discord question with like Microsoft and many others buying all companies up and being like, these are our studios.
I think they'll allocate certain things and make them work together.
Well, interior competition. I mean, like what?
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, forward? Well, they'll compete and work together. But I was going to say, think about this, Jordan, real quick. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, Obsidian was almost bankrupt because they missed their Metacritic score by 1 point, right, with Bethesda for New Vegas. And now they are a sister company to Bethesda, and they potentially could work on New Vegas too.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's how they're going to mend that like awkward wound, since they're basically sister companies. I do think that there's enough hype and enough jokes about it that there is actual potential for a New Vegas like sequel. However they would do it for them to work together.
If I'm Obsidian, I'm just walking to the conference room, put my feet up on the table, and just say, "How you doing there, Bethesda? What's up?"
Which, I mean, that'd be the best outcome for everyone. So I would like to see that happen.
Yeah. It's it is interesting to think of the cross development that can happen between all these studios that just got picked up and the IPs. Sean, you just talked about all those rare IPs that are sitting around. Sean, a bunch of studios just showed up. You can start copy and paste and say, "Hey, you want to work on this? You want to do this?"
But why do so many people think the games are going to be on PlayStation though? Is something I don't get. Because if the shoe was on the other foot and Sony bought Bethesda, there would be no questions Everybody would just be like, the games are exclusive.
Well, for me, the big thing that right now that hints at the possibility beyond Phil Spencer saying case by case is that some of these games are still being published under the Bethesda Game Studio label, and it's not Xbox Game Studio, which means to me it's similar to Minecraft. They're still leaving it under that core company, which means maybe this game could come to other platforms. We're not putting it under Xbox Game Studio for a very specific reason, because we still want to market it as a Bethesda game. So, I mean, we're still talking about games that are 2-3 years away. Yes. And that's where, when he says case, he's saying case by case, because, yeah, Elder Scrolls Online will remain multi-platform. It means Microsoft is still kind of exploring and considering what they're going to be doing with these games. He can't say, no, everything is exclusive, because all it takes is one game to go multi-platform. It makes Phil Spencer a liar. Case by case gives them flexibility. Right now,
they did that with Ori, though.
Yeah, and that's where right now, in September of 2020,
I
can't say with 100% certainty that everything moving forward in this deal is going to be exclusive to the Xbox PC Game Pass xCloud brand. Now, if we're talking about this in 2022 and we see this, this relationship actually develop into something, then the image between, comes clear. Right now, there's a lot of fog. We're not sure of how everything's going to be handled. We're not even sure what type of deals have already been made for some games that may still be unannounced. There's too much uncertainty right now. Yes, probably some of these bigger games are going to stay exclusive to Microsoft, especially if they find it as a valuable acquisition to move hardware. Is the next Doom a definite exclusive to just Xbox, or could it be timed exclusive to Xbox, come to PlayStation 5 6 months later, or the Switch 6 months later? I can't dismiss that as a possibility of occurring.
I mean, I think there's a possibility games could go to the Switch. Microsoft and Nintendo have a pretty good relationship, and Bethesda publishes there. But like, when you look at it, to me, Phil's saying case by case basis because they're keeping the PR vague, right? Everybody's energized by the announcement. You don't need to also pull out your other ace in the hole, which is these games are exclusive. They'll hold on to that till next year, right? And if you compare like what the Minecraft announcement when they bought it to this one, right away when they bought Minecraft, Phil was out there assuring everybody, no, it's staying put, it's staying put, it's not going anywhere, don't worry about it. With this stuff, even in his interview today, he's like case by case basis, but we want Xbox to be the best place to play, and we intend to launch it in Game Pass, xCloud, the console, and then all the other consoles case by case basis, which means Deathloop, it means Ghostwire Tokyo, it means Elder Scrolls Online, potentially. The ZeniMax Online, their next game, if it's an MMO, it'll probably be on PlayStation as well. The Doom.
They might make a push for that to be on the Switch, even
the Doom expansions will be on there. But like everything else, like I don't think people realize Microsoft's like platform is built on a long-term strategy, and the platform's Game Pass and xCloud. They didn't spend $7.5 billion to give Sony 30% in all the games they sell.
Well, here's the thought process on that. Like, if I'm spending $7.5 billion and I'm making a lot of money doing it and keeping everything on my end and doing some case by case, like, all right, a little bit here and there that need to go. If I see potential of saying, okay, this is a year-long exclusive on us, but I can now make even more money for all the people who didn't get to play, who won't invest in an Xbox, but have a PlayStation, and I can, even if I give that 30% cut, I can still make X amount more money to pay back that $7.5 billion. I might be more interested in saying, okay, we've had Doom 3 exclusive for a year, fine, we'll put it on PlayStation now. That's how I'm thinking. If I'm spending that kind of money, if there's the potential to make that back.
How much do you think Microsoft's worth?
That we don't know right now, because like they're going to look at the metrics. If they look at Doom Eternal and say 70% of overall sales are on the PlayStation, are they going to ignore 70% of a potential market for a game?
They're going to try to force those 70% to either buy a console or subscribe to Game Pass on PC or xCloud to do that.
Isn't that the strategy though? Like when Nintendo did the Wii U and that wasn't doing well, did they then look to the 360 and the PS3 and say, let's try Mario there? Let's see if this works.
I agree. I don't see why. Okay, yeah, you have a big.
But there wasn't a purchase there for that example.
Oh
but
yeah.
But you have a big. But even like with Bayonetta, like Bayonetta didn't do the best on Wii U. They didn't care. They didn't put it on. They didn't put Bayonetta 2 on other systems.
Bayonetta 2, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do that. So or like Fatal Frame, they
just put it on the Switch later on because they can resell it.
I feel like they would have a hard time explaining why they spent $7.5 billion, especially if the shareholders, and then they go there and say we're also going to develop for Sony. we're going to go develop these games for Sony as well. I think that'll be harder to describe, whereas they have this long-term plan laid out, and they're a $1.5 trillion company. So like $7.5 billion is not a huge deal for them to invest if they have a plan that's long-term enough to convince. And apparently they had enough to convince. Like Phil Spencer must have laid out a plan and it was good enough. And I mean, when you're worth that kind of money, they could still buy more.
How much did Bungie want us allegedly? What was that rumor?
I think that online it was like $1.5 billion, or it was on Twitter, but people are kicking around anywhere between 1 and 2 billion on Twitter. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Let's say that conversation was real and that was a real number. Then they should have just bought Bungie back. If that compared to how much their money is, I think they should have hit them with a close number, but not that full number.
How about this one? Watch this. Rand, who should Microsoft buy for? We'll say, let's pretend they can get them for $2.5 billion instead of Bungie. Who do you think they should buy?
I mean, if the choice is Bungie or Warner Brothers, they should have bought Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers.
More studios, you can license the IPs, you get way more out of it than you do with Bungie.
That would hit hard if they got Warner Bros. Too, the interactive.
But can you imagine the announcement if they said we bought Bungie, they're making the next Halo?
I don't think they'll take it away from 343 though, because 343 is like they're so invested in Halo right now with that new engine. I mean, trust me, Jordan. If they're like Bungie's here, they're making Halo, I'll be like, all right, let's. All right,
if they made that announcement tomorrow, I'd buy like 7 more Xboxes. I'd be so excited.
Could you find them though?
No, I'd have to wait till next year. But no, that'd be an amazing announcement. I give 343. I give them hope. You know, I hope they make the best Halo they can make, but their track record hasn't been the prettiest. So
that's true.
You know, there's also like Microsoft could have spent a lot less money to get Bethesda's games day one on Game Pass. Like they didn't have to buy Bethesda to do it. Like EA plays on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
We've seen a roadmap to get a publisher's games on Game Pass. So they could have went to Bethesda and be like, all your games for the next 5 years, we want day one. And it would have probably cost them $800 million. They didn't have to spend $7 billion. You spend $7 billion because you're going to own the content and only put it like in your ecosystem. So you're going to force people on PlayStation to buy the companion console, the Xbox Series S, designed to sit right next to the PlayStation 5 and to spend a low amount, $299, so people can get there. It's trust me, this is how it's all going to play out.
I could see Elder Scrolls or Starfield being something that could also push people towards like xCloud if they just want the one game and they're like, I'll throw $15 at it and I'll just stream it on my computer for a little bit, because you don't even like, maybe they don't have the best computer either. They could be like, I'll just play through it there and see how it goes. That's something else they could push. What were we trying to say, Nate?
I mean, ZeniMax was looking for a buyer. Yes. ZeniMax and Bethesda could not function the way they were structured any longer. They needed someone to come in, and that's where it's actually a good deal in broad terms for the industry. Microsoft essentially saved 2,300 employees' jobs. If Microsoft did not come in, ZeniMax and Bethesda would have had to restructure. People would have lost their jobs. Maybe studios would have been shut down. This had to happen for them to maintain what they are and what they appear to be going forward. So it was good for these companies overall. It just seems like there's a lot of uncertainty of how everything is going to play out. We're going to find out. Maybe in a year we'll know.
Let's call this now. Starfield. All right, go around. Starfield. Is that going to be on the PS5 or not?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What do you think, Nate?
Not that long. I mean, maybe later, like Jordan says, but I don't. Think
I could see
when that trailer happens.
Being a 6 month. I could be a time exclusive to the Xbox because the game's been announced. We don't know if there was already a deal in place between Sony and Bethesda before that game's released. There were talks.
As
a few months ago that Sony was trying to secure Starfield as an exclusive to the PlayStation 5.
Would they have then released it on the Xbox like a year later too?
It should have been a similar deal to Deathloop. So it could have been a year. We don't know how far those talks go. We don't know if Microsoft intervened and beat them to that. We don't know what type of deal was made for that game's release on the PlayStation 5 or if something already exists. So I could see that being a timed exclusive to the Xbox.
Let's say there was no deal in place. Would that game come to the PlayStation 5?
I would say to still
Fuck you.
I just don't
like 2022, early 2023. Then maybe it remains Xbox exclusive. If we're talking about maybe late 2021, I could still see it going multi-platform.
Okay.
Here's the thing. So like it's going to be incredibly hard for Microsoft to tell people what's exclusive and what's not when, like, we would both agree Halo 5 is not going to be on PlayStation 5 or Hellblade 2 or Avowed or any of the other games. And then Microsoft would be fielding all these questions about the Bethesda games. If you recall, back in April, because I pulled this up in my video today, Phil Spencer basically said they were done putting games to Switch because he didn't like the rumors that would pop up for every one of their games if it was coming to Switch or not. And he felt it was, he wanted to set the expectations that their games going forward would be on Xbox and PC. And I think would be incredibly weird for them where half their games are exclusive to Xbox, but then the other half maybe aren't. That's why I'm thinking that pretty much all of them will be exclusive to the Xbox platform.
I like
it's just easier that way.
That was a good rumor. Halo on the Switch.
You never know. That might still happen.
I like that one.
See, going back to like Phil Spencer's statement there, I think that's why we saw I Am 8-Bit publish Ori and Will of the Wisps, and it's not Xbox Game Studios. Xbox actually removed themselves from that publishing deal, made it I Am 8-Bit, so they kind of separated themselves from the expectation of, oh, Microsoft is going to publish games on Switch. Like, now we're indirectly supporting the Switch. So if there is future Switch support, I would expect an external publisher to play that like intermediate in it. And that's still the thing of where they say games are going to be published under the Bethesda label. Still kind of just says to me, we cannot say with 100% certainty in September of 2020 that a game like Starfield will be Xbox Game Pass xCloud exclusive right now. In 6 months, we can revisit this, and maybe it has changed. But at this point in time, I can't say that with no question.
But you don't think that like them keeping the Bethesda publishing label around is basically because they don't want to fire anybody? Because if they were going to fold it into Xbox publishing, they don't need all those people because they would have a publishing arm and a marketing arm. So keeping Bethesda as is basically to keep all the jobs that are there. That's more how I look at it. Is that
but couldn't you just kind of absorb them and and rename the office?
You'd have a lot of redundant jobs then, wouldn't you?
Let me ask you this. At the end of the day, who owns Bethesda now?
Microsoft.
And who would Bethesda be like taking their orders from? It'd be Phil. So if Phil says he wants the games exclusive, then they're going to be exclusive, right? Or if he wants them on PlayStation, they'll be on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically up to Phil. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, I mean, we wouldn't find out. Starfield's probably not even coming out till, do we even think it's next year? Or I think it's 2022.
There was a rumor it was next year, but with COVID, it's probably 2022.
What do you think, Jordan? Wait, let's say something over there.
I don't know. All we have is what, a title screen, that little video.
Like yeah, there's a screenshot that leaked out apparently today as well, but that's a screenshot from 2018. From
and we saw what that did for Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just
isn't the demo for that coming out
farther out?
I think the demo was August, Sean.
Oh, okay, I missed it.
For Metroid Prime 4?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
I missed it. Dang it.
Yeah, we'll know, I guess, when we see that first Starfield trailer. We'll see what logos pop up at the end for systems.